Welcome to Fractured Chaos.
You ever wake up next to silence? Not the peaceful kind. The kind where you know something's wrong before you even open your eyes. Where the space between you and the person you married feels like an ocean, even though she's only 12 inches away. Yeah, that was year 15 of my marriage. 3 kids, 2 full-time jobs, 1 dying connection, and 0 appreciation. My name's Todd, by the way. And this is the story of how I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just being patient enough to watch karma do its thing. I didn't cheat. Sarah didn't either. At first, I remember the exact day things shifted. March 15th, 2018, a Thursday. I remember because it was the day after our anniversary, and we'd spent it watching Netflix in separate rooms. Romantic, right? It wasn't an argument that morning, wasn't a breakdown. It was a glance. I saw her smile at her phone in a way she hadn't smiled at me in years. That small, breathy laugh that used to make my chest tight in the best way possible. I used to be the reason for it. Now I was just the guy refilling her coffee mug while she texted someone else. His name was Cameron. She said they worked together at the insurance firm. Nothing to worry about. Just work stuff. Team projects and quarterly reports and all that corporate nonsense that pays for soccer cleats and orthodontist bills. But I wasn't born yesterday. I saw the texts. Not snooping, just available. She'd leave her phone face up on the kitchen counter while she showered. Screen would light up with notifications, and there he was. Cameron. Again. And again. He was clever, I'll give him that. Never explicit. Always just friendly enough to have plausible deniability. Compliments with question marks. You look amazing today. Is that a new dress? Late night check-ins. Hope you're not working too hard. Inside jokes I wasn't part of. References to conversations that happened in empty conference rooms and lunch breaks that ran too long. He didn't break a rule, but he was playing the game and winning. I watched it happen in real time. Watched my wife of 15 years fall for a guy who probably had a rotation of women getting the same texts, the same attention, the same carefully crafted interest that felt personal, but was really just practiced. Sarah started working late, a lot. Started caring about her appearance again, but not for me. New perfume, different makeup. She'd spend 20 minutes getting ready for work and 30 seconds saying goodbye to me. The kids noticed too. Emma, my oldest, asked me why mom was always on her phone at dinner. Jake, my middle kid, started asking why mom didn't read bedtime stories anymore. And little Chloe? She just stopped asking mom for help with her homework because mom was always busy. One night, after 3 months of watching my marriage dissolve in slow motion, I asked her, "Do you want to be with him?" Simple question, yes or no answer. And instead of answering, she asked me why I never asked how she was feeling anymore. Why I never noticed when she got her hair done. Why I never planned surprise dates or left cute notes in her lunch. Translation, she already chose him. She was just waiting for me to be the bad guy so she could leave with a clear conscience. I gave her what she wanted. Maybe we should take a break, I said. She was packed by the weekend. Sarah left 6 weeks later. Took the kids Monday through Friday, gave me weekends and alternating holidays. Said she needed space to figure things out. Space to remember who she was before she became just Todd's wife. By the time the divorce was finalized 8 months later, she was 3 months pregnant. Yeah, that fast. The math wasn't hard to do. She'd been with Cameron before she even moved out. All that talk about space and self-discovery was just cover for the fact that she'd already started a new life while she was still living in our house. I won't lie, it broke something in me. Not just the betrayal, but the speed of it. 15 years reduced to a footnote. 3 kids suddenly splitting time between 2 homes because mom found someone who texted her more than dad talked to her. But here's the thing about guys like Cameron. They're great at the chase, not so great at the catch. They never married. Funny, right? He fought so hard to win her, spent months dismantling my family with late-night texts and lingering looks, but he never put a ring on her finger. Just put her name in his phone as baby mama and treated their son like an inconvenience he hadn't planned for. I found out later he'd done this before. Twice, actually. Had a type. Married women who felt invisible. He'd swoop in with attention and compliments, make them feel special, then lose interest once the thrill of the forbidden was gone. Sarah wasn't special to him. She was just next in line. 5 years passed. I rebuilt my life. Got a better place, one with a yard big enough for the kids to actually play in. Started dating again. Nothing serious, just remembering how to be Todd instead of just Sarah's ex-husband. Focused on being the parent my kids could count on. And then the calls started coming in. From my kids. Dad, can we come stay with you more? He doesn't really talk to us. He makes us eat cereal for dinner because Mom's always tired. Can you pick us up early? There's nothing to do here. I didn't want to believe it at first. Thought maybe they were just being kids playing parents against each other for extra privileges. But then my son Jake slipped up during a weekend visit. They don't sleep in the same bed anymore, he said while we were building a Lego set. Cameron sleeps on the couch and yells at the TV. Mom cries a lot when she thinks we can't hear. That's when I realized something that should have been obvious from the beginning. Cameron never wanted Sarah. He just wanted to beat me. The game was over. He'd won. And now he was stuck with a prize he didn't actually want. A woman with 3 kids who weren't his, a crying baby who kept him up at night, and all the mundane reality of a relationship without the excitement of sneaking around. Sarah had traded a marriage that was boring for a relationship that was worse than boring. It was hostile. Weird thing happened around year 6, post-divorce. Me and Sarah started getting cool again. Not romantic, just civil. Professional co-parents who could laugh at soccer games and share jokes in the group text. We started doing family outings for the kids' sake, bowling on rainy Saturdays, birthday parties where we both showed up and didn't make it weird. Occasional drive-through runs where we all sang along to old songs like nothing had ever happened. The kids loved it. For a few hours, they got to pretend their parents could be in the same room without lawyers. Cameron hated it. He'd call Sarah during our family outings, text her constantly when she was at my place picking up the kids, started showing up places he had no business being, just to mark his territory. And that's when I started texting her again. Nothing crazy, just things like, "You looked good today, not gonna lie. I miss how we used to make each other laugh." You ever think about what we could have been if we just communicated better? Sound familiar? Because it was exactly what Cameron used to send her when she was married to me. Except this time I had advantages he never had. I knew her, really knew her. Knew that she liked her coffee with 2 sugars but only on weekdays. Knew she got anxious before parent-teacher conferences and needed someone to tell her she was doing fine. Knew she still laughed at my stupid dad jokes even when she pretended not to. Cameron knew her body, I knew her soul. Little by little, without even trying, I became the ghost in their relationship. When she needed someone to talk to about Jake's anxiety, she called me. When she couldn't figure out why the washing machine was making that noise, she texted me. When she wanted to complain about work or her mother or the price of groceries, I was the one who listened and remembered the details. Cameron just wanted to know when dinner would be ready and why the baby was crying. They started fighting. Real fights. Not just the passive-aggressive tension that had poisoned the end of our marriage. Screaming matches that sent the kids to their rooms and made the neighbors complain. And my kids, they saw everything. One night, Emma whispered to me during a bedtime story, "He said you're trying to break them up." I didn't even have to deny it. She followed up with, "Honestly, Dad, I hope you do. We all do." Turns out kids don't forget who packed their lunches when no one else remembered. Who showed up to every game, every recital, every stupid school thing that mattered to them. Who made them feel safe when their world fell apart. Cameron was just the guy who lived in their house and ate their food. Then came the collapse. It started small. Sarah would call me when Cameron didn't come home from work, when he forgot to pick up his own son from daycare, when he spent grocery money on whatever guys like Cameron spend money on when they're trying to recapture their youth. She started asking my opinion on things. Important things. Should she go back to school? Was Jake ready for advanced math? Did I think Chloe needed glasses? All the conversations she used to have with Cameron, she was having with me instead, Cameron noticed. Started getting paranoid, accusing her of things, going through her phone, showing up at my place unannounced to pick up something the kids forgot. The more desperate he got, the more obvious it became that he was losing a game he didn't even realize he was playing. One night, after a particularly ugly fight that ended with Cameron putting his fist through their bathroom door, Sarah called me crying. "I made a mistake," she said, "a really big mistake." I could have gloated. Could have said, "I told you so," or "What did you expect?" Could have hung up and let her figure it out on her own. Instead, I said, "What do you need?" Because that's what you do when someone you used to love is drowning. You throw them a rope, even if they're the reason you learned how to swim. Cameron moved out 3 days later. Didn't say goodbye to the kids. Didn't even take the crib that had been sitting half-assembled in their garage for 5 years. Just packed his clothes and his PlayStation and left like he was checking out of a hotel. But here's where the story gets interesting. A month later, he filed for custody of his son with Sarah. Told the court he was the more stable parent, that Sarah was unfit, that she was having an inappropriate relationship with her ex-husband, and it was confusing the children. Problem is, when you spend 5 years being a terrible partner, people notice. And when you're stupid enough to document your extracurricular activities on social media and dating apps while you're supposed to be fighting for your kid, well, let's just say screenshots have a way of finding their way to the right people. Guess who had those screenshots? Sarah, because she'd learned from her first marriage to pay attention to the warning signs. He lost the custody case, completely. No joint arrangement, no weekends, just supervised visits every other Sunday, and even those got canceled half the time because he couldn't be bothered to show up. His son, their son, barely knows him now, calls me dad sometimes and doesn't even realize he's doing it. And me? Well, I'm not back with Sarah. We're not some fairy tale reunion story where love conquers all and mistakes get erased with time. But she calls me when the kids have a fever and she's scared. She laughs at my jokes again, real laughs that crinkle her eyes. She asked me to fix her cabinet door last weekend, the same cabinet I built the year we got married. We worked on it together while the kids played in the backyard, and for 20 minutes it felt like we were just Todd and Sarah again. Not exes, not co-parents. Just two people who used to love each other enough to build a life together, fixing something that had broken over time. Full circle. I didn't scream. Didn't post anything vindictive online. Didn't key his car or spread rumors or any of the petty revenge fantasies that kept me awake during those first awful months. I just let time do what time does. I showed up. For my kids. For myself. Even for Sarah, when she needed someone who remembered who she was before Cameron convinced her she was someone else. And when the dust cleared, he lost the woman he stole. He lost the family he pretended to want. He lost the game he started. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's just being the kind of person people want to come home to when the excitement wears off and real life sets in. Sometimes it's showing up in someone else's story as the ending they never saw coming. Cameron thought he was writing a story about winning. Turns out he was just a chapter in mine.